Let's take a look back at a classic movie, Home Alone. Are you familiar with this movie? A kid who was accidentally left behind and was forced to defend his home from two burglars. Now, that scenario could happen to anyone at any time, especially online. You see, everything we post, share, and click in social media can be seen by everyone. And that means it could lead to malicious individuals to take over our personal information, especially if we don't know how to protect it. Hi, I'm Kimmy, and today you're looking into survey on privacy in media and information literacy with youth perspective, teaching you youngsters how to defend your personal information like how Kevin McAllister did to his home. Now, according to UNESCO, with the same name of our presentation, privacy is a need to protect and perhaps a need to restrict from others in accessing our personal information. Now, let me ask you, where do we first learn privacy? Here's a hint. Right, privacy starts at home, and that means our doors and locks show where to go in and where to go out. Now, to take this into much professional standard, let's look at these two international laws. First is the Article of 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It explicitly states that no one should face arbitrary interference with their privacy, family, or home. Second is the Article 17 of 1966 International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. It legally binds nations to protect citizens against attacks on their privacy and reputation. Now, what does this mean? It means that privacy is a foundational right. It is an enabling right, meaning you literally have the right to develop your own personality, thoughts, and identity without the outside interference. It is your absolute right to decide what to share, who gets to see it, and how they will use it. Now, what about our privacy in the Philippines? You see, our country, or Filipinos rather, are so expressive and perhaps too much expressive. Do you agree on that? Now, what I mean is our country lacks the concept of personal space. Now, this means that it is common for us to cross boundaries to other people, like our classmates, friends, students, teachers, and other people, even strangers. Now, this means that it is common for us to be touchy, pick someone's phone without permission, or even sharing private conversations with others. Now, because we naturally overshare offline, we carry that same habit directly to the internet. Now, according to the latest uh, Meltwater Digital 2026 report conducted in October 2025, there is a massive 98 million Filipinos that constantly active online or use the internet. Now, with that is 97.7% of them access the web through smartphones and 62 point and 62.7% use via laptop and desktop. Now, look closely at our demographic from the data. This is where it gets alarming. While the highest group of internet consumers are young adults aging 25 to 34 at 17.1%, the second highest group isn't us. It's actually our younger brothers and sisters. Now, these kids age 5 to 12, and it makes up of strategizing 15.4% of internet users, and young adults of 18 to 24 sits at 13, and we, the 13.717 high school demographic, make only up to 10%, and even zero point 0.4 years old gets to be exposed in the internet. Now, to show you how real these high stakes are, let's look at a detailed case study that made global headlines involving Kim Kardashian and her son, Saint.
Who made that? Who made
Now,
that? Let me
as you
see.
can see in the
Let me
video,
see.
her son was
Click
casually
on it.
playing Roblox, a platform appealing of young kids that
Hold on.
plays daily. Now, an
Chloe, look at this.
advertisement popped
What?
up
Let me see.
featuring a meme-like image of Kim, and
Chloe, come
because
here.
her
I
son
feel like
was
you're the only
young
one
and
that would
couldn't fully
understand.
read
Okay,
yet,
I'm
he
coming.
thought
I'm
it
not
was
sure
just a
what this
funny game
means.
link
This is a
and
character on
ran to his
Roblox. It
mom to
says
show it. In
what?
reality,
I
it
know.
was
That's
a
why I said.
malicious user that
Oh, it's a
embedded a hidden
game.
clickbait link
Oh, well then we're
within that
suing them
game,
if it's a game with my name and
ad
picture.
designed to lead the players to
Who
unreleased
made
private
that?
adult footage of the mom years ago.
Who made that?
Digital
Let me
footprint,
see.
right?
Let me see.
Now, Kim was
Click on it.
entirely blindsided, breaking down in tears because her child's
Hold
safe
on.
gaming space has been weaponized to expose
Chloe,
him
look at
to
this.
highly
What?
inappropriate
Let me
content.
see.
They had to deploy immediately
Chloe, come here.
legal
I feel like you're
actions,
the only one that would understand. Okay, I'm coming.
contacting
I'm not sure
from
what this means. This is a character on Roblox. It
um,
says what? I
contacting
know. That's
from
why I said.
platforms exclusives, and
Oh,
Roblox
it's a game.
immediately stepped
Oh,
in
well
to
then we're suing them if it's
permanently
a game with my name and
ban
picture.
the developers and purge the
Who
explicit
made
links
that?
from the servers. Now, this proves that
Who
how
made that?
matter famous
Let
or
me see.
secure
Let me
you are
see.
or you think,
Click on it.
if you're online, your privacy can be compromised.
Oh,
Now,
hold on.
this brings us back to the privacy
Chloe, look at this.
paradox.
What?
We say that we tend to care of our privacy, but yet we blindly share massive personal information to social media and free apps. And also, we accept terms and service agreements and allow these apps to access our data just so we don't get left out. Or sometimes we're just bored on reading those long, confusing terms of services. But good thing, our law protects us. According to the Republic Act number 10173, Data Privacy of Act 2012, you are legally recognized as a data subject. You is a data subject, meaning you have the right to be informed of your privacy, who gets to access it, and the right to file a formal complaint. Just like the scenario of Kim Kardashian, where her personal information got or her tape was leaked. So he filed a formal complaint because that's crossing someone's boundary. Now, but laws only work if you know how to use them. And because many of us grew exploring the internet completely unsupervised, we we've been navigating a deep digital ocean without a life jacket. And that is where media and information literacy is crucial, or MIL. MIL doesn't just teach us the ability to spot fake news or make nice presentations, it also helps us to the ability to protect our own digital information or data protection. Now, if you use these skills, you can become a good digital citizen or digital citizenship. Let's talk about that. In definition, it is the norm of appropriate, responsible technology use. It means you understand that the digital space and is a real and functioning society. Now, just like in a public street, when you walk in a public street, there are some manners, responsibilities, and laws that you have to follow. And that means that we also have our etiquette in the online world. And this is called netiquette or network etiquette. And this is made by Virginia Shea, um, and it has 10 rules. And actually, I have created a secret code for you guys to easily remember and apply it. Now, on our first rule is remember the human. Remember that you're talking or socializing to a human, even though that you're facing onto a screen. Second rule is know you are in the digital space. Different platforms have different appropriate actions. So you have to know that on that platform, the people act differently, just like how normal it is on to act on TikTok. It may be inappropriate in a classroom setting. Rule 3 says that online life re- reflects real life. Now, this means that if you are in the digital world, doesn't mean that you can break the laws. You actually still have to follow them. But if you don't, the police are waiting for you. Sure, joke lang. So, on rule 4, respect time and bandwidth. You are not the center of the universe. That means that you should respect others' time. So, just like when you message someone, they cannot directly reply because they also have their own schedule. Now, Rule 5 states that make yourself look good online. Just like in our large Facebook group, every time you write or you type and you share something in there, you are being judged by everyone. So make sure that your work is on its highest quality and you make sense. And so always fact check. Now, on rule 6, share expert knowledge. Whether you are a student, teacher, a doctor, sharing knowledge is helpful to make our online community safe and so everyone can learn. Now, rule 7, check your opinions and emotions. Just like in flames, you don't have to fuel the fire. A good digital citizen can de escalate the fire. Now, rule 8, the most important one, states that respect others' privacy. For example, can't tag someone if you haven't had or haven't asked them for permission, right? And just like that scenario that I just showed you earlier, and also we also have here, don't publish without permission, just like what I've said, and link or share without appropriate license. Now, on rule 9, don't abuse your power, like doxing, blackmail, scamming, and other type of power abuse. Doesn't mean that you're in the digital world, doesn't mean that you can break the laws. And lastly, forgive mistakes. Everyone is not perfect. And so if someone makes mistakes, you have to correct them politely, or if it's embarrassing, you have to correct them privately. Now, dun, 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 the secret code is REP. What does this mean? R for respect, E to educate, and P to protect. Respect, educate, and protect yourself and others. Now, since we have our secret code, you could remember this easily, right? So that means you should apply it. Now let's go back to our most important rule 8. Respect other people's privacy. Now, privacy is a heavy responsibility. This means that we're not just carrying it by ourselves. There's also big entities like the corporations and especially the government. But what if the government itself that we trust fail us? And this actually happened PhilHealth back in 2023. Now, there was a major data breach, and on that were 30 million individuals. Their personal information got leaked. And what are those information? Their insurance number, their phone number, and their address. Now, are we just going to slip this out? Ignore it? Well, in fact, we Gen Z are the next future. We could become leaders, could become doctors, professionals. So, are we just going to ignore it? To look back? No, we have to take it seriously. We have to sharpen our information literacy and data protection. Now, this is why our group conducted a survey called PRIVA-SEE, and our questions were carefully adapted through the book Survey on Privacy and Media and Information Literacy with Youth Perspective. And we've gathered the data from grade 11 students here at USTPCDO, and we also gathered 200 respondents. Now, to lead us into a much deeper analysis of this survey, um, my members will further discuss this. So, let's welcome Divine Ibarra.
Now that we privacy what privacy is all about, let's now zoom in to valuing personal privacy and that of others. First, let us acknowledge privacy as an individual right. Here in the Philippines, our government created a law. I think you already know what it is because Kim Revidas already mentioned it. It's called Data Privacy Act of 2012 or RA 10173. And I will mention this often in the rest of my presentation. It intends to protect citizens by mandating personal data protection. But what do we mean by personal data? Is it globe, PM, PNP, smart, galing? It is your personal information that directly points to you in a material form or not. Whether in a material form or not, rather. So, it could be your name, your address, your contact number, or even your cookies. No, it's not the edible ones. You'll find that out later on. Now, let's proceed to the next slide. Oh, seems like we are stripped of our rights. So, the slide is locked. Why do you think it is locked? To me, I think it is restricted because it contains sensitive personal information. When we say sensitive personal information, it refers to a special type of info that requires high protection. Hence the locks and the padlocks. Hence the locks and the padlocks. Hence the locks and the chains. Under this category, we have data issued by government agencies. like the IDs, postal ones, national ID, your PhilHealth, would name a few. But I know it doesn't matter to you first. I mean, doesn't matter to you at the moment because you're still young, but once you get to the adulting stage, it will be the center of your life. Now, for the second one, we have sex life or sexual orientation. This refers to one's sexual behavior. And here we could get the gist why sex tapes and sex scandals are simply illegal. And in a sense that you're leaking one's sensitive personal information. So it's a violation, and you will learn more about that later on. Now, for the third one, we have health information. This refers to your medical records, like medical certificate and physiological assessments. Fourth is the sensitive demographic profile. That refers to your race, marital status, age, and even your ethnic origin. So for the fifth one, we have beliefs or affiliations. This refers to your stances in politics, like if you're Kakampink or DDS, and within your beliefs, if you're Catholic, Muslim, then you have all the right to not tell anybody about it because it's considered as a sensitive information. So keep it a secret. Now, let's go back in the past where a lot of people wear a mask, but they were pretty open online. This was during the COVID-19 pandemic where there was an increased reliance on digital services, and it caused a stir. It caused a lot of netizens, especially youths or you, to share private information online. Like we got too entertained, the point that we shared every bits of our lives on the internet, which created a trail. And what trail are we talking about, trailblazers? It's called digital footprint. So this is a permanent ink that, you cannot erase permanent ink, right? And it might remain in the internet forever. It's really not worth it if you have a very messy digital footprint. Like, you could contribute to the digital footprint just by simply posting status update, uploading a video on TikTok, or even just by searching something on your browser. You're already creating a drag path etched in the surface as evidence, left there on purpose. Anyway, so moving on, digital footprint is really important because if it arrives on the wrong hands, then maybe it might be taken advantage of. That's why we have to put importance on our privacy, since it's not just an on or off setting on our applications. It's a fundamental human right that we must conserve. And if we really do value our privacy, we should extend the same respect to others. In our survey, we gathered 200 responses on these two statements. I put importance with my privacy, and I value the privacy of others. And this was pretty positive because both of them strongly agreed. Okay? And not both of them, like the students rather, strongly agreed on both of them. So anyway, they're equal in numbers, somewhat equal in numbers. And if you really want to maintain this equality, this, positive results, then we must relearn two major concepts, and that is RTP and FOE. RTP refers to right to privacy, while FOE is the freedom of expression. When we say right to privacy, you have the right to protect your personal information and create a safe space for yourself. With freedom of expression, you have the right to express yourself and seek and receive information from other people. Now here's the thing. Just because you have FOE doesn't mean you can just overstep your boundaries. Okay? FOE is not an excuse to just extort or crush the right to privacy of others. So you have to bear that in mind. Because if you don't balance these two out, then you might violate one's human right. And let me introduce to you privacy violations. So, privacy violations, we have the most common example, which is doxing. So, doxing is not the one that Manny Pacquiao does, but it originated in the 90s from the phrase dropping documents. All you do is, if you're leaking one's personal information, especially the sensitive ones, then you are doxing. And if you did that, you might face serious charges under the DPA, or Data Privacy Act of 2012, and Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. You could face 1 to 3 years in prison and pay 500,000 to 1 million pesos. Grabe, it's really not that worth it. It's such an expensive prank to pull off. See, it's not even funny in the first place. So, wag mong subukan. Masisira ang buhay mo. Now, let's proceed to the second one, which is pretty common in the Philippines too. It is non-consensual sharing. And no, it's not just limited on the one who posted a intimate or a sensitive information. It could also, be applied to the one who is mass spreading it or sharing it to others. So if you're the one who's posting on social media uy, sinong gusto magpasend nito? Then maybe you might face serious charges under the DPA and the Anti-Photo and Video Voyeurism Act of 2009 and the Safe Spaces Act or Bawal Bastos Law. And mapriso ka for 3 to 7 years and pay 100,000 to 500,000 pesos. Now for the third violation, we have unauthorized access or hacking. So what do we mean by hacking? It's pretty simple. You're accessing something that you shouldn't access because you weren't authorized to do it. And the famous example for that is the I Love You virus by Onel de Guzman. It created serious damages on business. And I wasn't there, but I was pretty frustrated that he didn't get punished. Because that time there wasn't any Cybercrime Prevention Act. But now, since we have CPA, and if you're attempting to hack someone, then you should consider these laws, the DPA and the CPA, through illegal access. Did I even mention what CPA is? It's Cybercrime Prevention Act. Okay, so you might go to jail for 1 to 3 years, and might pay at least 200,000 pesos as a fine. Now, since we're done with the violations, we asked the senior high school students about their take on I have the right to publish private information about other people. So, the majority of them answered they strongly disagreed, which is pretty amazing. So, the rest, the disagree, the neutral, agree, and strongly agree, I believe it's either they got survey fatigue or they simply don't like, they simply, let this pass. I have, like, they want to publish one's private information online. Like, maybe they think it's good, but it's actually not. And if you're one of them who thinks that private information of others can be obtained easily and shared to others, just remember, click. Okay? When we say click, it is ano. It is an acronym. C for consent. Did I get consent from others? Or did I got consent from the people that I want to like share their private information to others? And that's one. And L, liberty. Did I take their freedom to be anonymous? And I, intention. What is my intention behind this? Do I want to mock them? Or do I want to just do this for educational purposes? Another C for consequence. What could be the consequence if I post this private information? And finally, we have knowledge. That is, if you have to ask yourself, are they aware that I'm going to post this private information about them? Then, if all of those have positive answers, then go on. That is valuing personal privacy and that of others. Now let's go on the business and the government privacy issues.
Thank you for that, Divine Ibarra. Every time you click, swipe, or share toxic shit online, it is quietly collecting your information. But who really protects this? The Avengers? Or maybe even the four special grade sorcerers? In today's digital age, personal data has become one of the most valuable resources that powers businesses and government services alike. Every online transaction, social media activity, or app usage generates information about us, often without our full awareness. Now, there are two major powers that holds our data. First of all, the government. The role of the government in our data. Are our data safe? Now, just like any research, the government also have data collection tools. There are two major types of data collection tools that the governments use. First of all, official data records. This consists things such as our birth certificate and our passport. Secondly, we have private companies, which consists of these three major powers in our telecom services, such as Dito, Smarts, and Globe. Now, you might be wondering how does these three major companies hold such powers in collecting our data? First of all, we have an act called SIM Registration Act of RA 11934, which mandates that every physical SIMs or eSIMs must be registered under a valid identity before it can be activated. Now, in times when For example, in times when a person have court orders and warrants, they can be easily traced by the government by contacting these major companies, these three. Now, there are three major rules that the governments use. First of all, balancing security and privacy. Think of it like this. Security is your locks, doors, cameras, and personal space, while privacy is your curtains, personal space, and the freedom to live without being constantly watched. If you focus only on security, it's like installing cameras in every room, even the bathroom. You chill. Sure, nothing bad might happen, but you feel uncomfortable, watch, and not truly free. If you focus only on privacy, it's like having no locks or alarm at all. You feel free, but you're also vulnerable. So, there must be an equilibrium in the two. There must be a balance. Too much security feels like surveillance. Too much privacy invites risk. Balance where there is both safe and free. You protect yourself from threats without sacrificing your dignity. Now, moving further, we have this second rule of the government. Citizens deserve protection against unauthorized data monitoring, as what my two previous members have already explained. RA 10173 is the Data Privacy Act of 2012, so we will not be diving any deeper in that. Lastly, government collects citizen information for public services. Now, guys, what are these government public services? First of all, we have healthcare. Secondly, education. And lastly, social welfare. So, if the governments have these three good factors in the rule and our data, so do people trust the government? Our survey questions say our survey results says quite the opposite. A majority of our participants are answered between neutral. And is there any underlying factor of this? First of all, yes. The people tends to think that the government isn't doing their job correctly and efficiently. This means that people's youth, such as us, doesn't know what the truth really is, and we are lacking knowledge to the government. Now, why did youths stay neutral? You might be wondering right now. The reason is a reason to start over new. And the reason is you. Okay, wala na napanos ang joke. The reason is the real reason is first of all privacy concerns. People worry that their personal information, messages, location, financial data, etc. could be accessed, monitored, or misused without their consent. There's fear of surveillance and loss of personal freedom. In one of our survey question entitled, "The Internet Should Be an Open Space Free of Control by the Government or Any Big Businesses," a majority of our participants have answered between neutral, agree, and strongly agree. Secondly, we have past scandals. Previous data breaches, leaks, or misuse of personal information by authorities reduce trust. Once trust is broken, it's very hard to rebuild, and people remain skeptical. Now, let's take a look at this example. In 2016, there were major data breaches in our Comelec. It was now then dubbed as Comelec, that is, as in leaking, whereas 55 million vo- voters' personal data has been used and can be used in crime. Thirdly, we have influence of fears. Now, opinions spread through social media, spreads in communities. If others express distrust or share negative experiences, it can influence individuals to feel the same way. Have you guys have heard of this statement before? Ay, too. Buang manday ka. Bala ka di amaw. Ayaw pabilin sa matrix. La- Be the seeker of your own truth. My government has the right to know all personal information about me. This will keep me safe online. Not surprisingly, a majority of people have answered between neutral, agree, and strongly agree. Now, in another survey question, my government has the right to watch what I am doing offline. This will keep me safe. As you can see, there is an inverse in the answer. Whereas now, a majority of people have answered between strongly disagree, and neutral. So, is there a contradiction? No, the wording there is. There is a major difference between the word offline and online. People is already used to big companies collecting data, so that government access doesn't feel like any shopping online. But most of all, lack of awareness. Many don't realize that knowing all information about me is more invasive than offline monitoring. Now let's go to the rules of businesses in our data. So first of all, what type of data does major businesses collect? There are eight types. The first two is identity data and interaction data. Identity data refers to your basic identifying personal information, and interaction data is your users' interaction across channels. Now, we have demographic data. This data consists your age, gender, income, and education. And transactional data is all your purchase, payments, and order history. Now, behavioral data is your action, browsing, and usage patterns. And your geographical data is your location, region, physical place. And the last two is psychographic data and engagement data. Psychographic data is your interests, values, and personal traits, while engagement data is your interaction, clicks, and participation level or your duration. Now, why does major companies collect our data? First, I how do businesses collect our data? First of all, we have four types. First of all, zero party data. This is the type of data that companies that you intentionally gives to a company. For example, your preferences, survey answers, and quiz results. Secondly, we have first party data. This is the data that a company collects directly from interaction with its own platforms, purchase, website visits, and app usage. Now, second party data is a type of data that another company's first party data shared or sold directly to a partner company. Now, lastly, the most invasive is third party data. This is the data collected by external organizations from many sources, then aggregated and sold, usually without direct relationship to the users. This is what we call a combination of companies that collecting your data. Now, why does major companies collect our data? First of all, to improve their services. The first here is inventory management. Secondly, marketing campaigns. Lastly, thirdly, customer services. And firstly, product development. And lastly, pricing strategy. So, these are the major rule of businesses in our data. Cybersecurity measures. Here we have firewalls. Firewalls is the type of protection that company employed wherein your data cannot be accessed by other. Since there is a wording here which is walls, meaning there is a wall between your data and the company itself. Secondly, we have intrusion detection. All major companies have this. All major companies consist of teams which builds their detection system in order for data breach to not happen. Now, if major companies employ such things to protect our data, so what could be the reason that majority of people still don't trust them? First of all, lack of transparency. Some companies are not clear about how they collect, use, and store data, making people unsure about what happens to their personal information. Secondly, A. As what I have exampled earlier, Google, which employed cybersecurity measures and intrusion detection, has also have past scandals. Between 2014 and 2020, there was scandals that Google, that toggling the search history of in Google did not completely deactivate all tracking activities. Because of this, Google agreed to pay $1.8 billion. Now, secondly, we have data breaches. Customers are concerned about hackers or cyber attacks that may steal their personal data from company databases, which can lead to identity theft. An example of this is in 2024, where Jollibee Corporation suffered a major data breach which affects almost 11 million customers. Thirdly, we have data misuse. Many fear that companies might use their data for purposes they did not agree to, such as selling information to third parties or using it for excessive targeted arbitrage. Now, lastly, we have privacy invasion. People worry that companies collect too much personal information without their full knowledge and consent. This can make individuals feel that their private life is being monitored. Now, I will show you again one of our survey questions entitled "The Internet Should Be an Open Space Free of Control by the Government or Any Big Businesses." Here, majority of our participants have answered neutral, to agree, and strongly agree. If the government fails to do their job in regulating and protecting our data, then who will? It must be us, right? So, I will give you guys a lingering question to ponder about. How can we protect our security and privacy? This will be answered by Agent Daniel.
Thank you for that, Kurt. So, did you know that the Philippines is ranked high in the amount of Filipinos using the internet? About 98.80% of Filipinos are internet users, and the average time they spend on the internet is about 5 hours. And the amount of internet users just keeps on increasing. But amongst this increase of internet users uh, carries exposure to risks like security breach, hacking, and information disorders. So let's take a look at this survey question. So my safety is online to me, and most of our participants actually voted that they strongly agree that their safety online is important to them. So my interpretation to this data is like most students value their safety online. So why does online safety matter to students today? Because most of their learning, like YouTube, ChatGPT, or sites you search in Google, happens online. And also, most of the students' communication, like Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, and TikTok, are also online. So, what I'm trying to say is most of students' daily activities happens on the internet. Therefore, students become more prone to security and privacy breaches. So, let me tell you what is online safety. Online safety is the ability to understand and recognize, as well as having the skills and knowledge to dodge or avoid these threats. So let me teach you how to avoid threats online. So first is you have to identify these online threats first. So we're gonna use the STOP or STOP guideline to detect what is a threat. So S, it stands for, is it suspicious? If you receive a message from unknown numbers claiming to be your family member, to strange email addresses that claim they're from the White House, you should be already on your guard. But if they also provide you a suspicious link to click, you should already be suspicious of the message. So, yeah, how to know why a link is suspicious? So, it's already so we have learned that a link is secure if it is HTTPS, and it is not secure if it is just HTTP. But there are also other telltale signs to know that a link is suspicious. So a link is suspicious if the URL un- contains some unspelled words or names. So you just have to keep in mind if there are any misspellings in the email or on the URL. You should already doubt its trustworthiness. And next next flag is if it has extra and unnecessary let words in the URL to make it look more official, I guess. But most official companies use pretty concise domains, and they don't use unnecessary words like this one. So this one has secure and verification, but a official or official URL would just be citibank.com or city.com. So yeah. So next, is it trying to be urgent? So buzzwords like immediately, urgent, or act now, or a message telling you that you're run out of time is a red flag. So here, if you see if you receive a message basically telling you to act now, uh, click this link immediately, you should just doubt it. So O, it stands for, is it offering something too good to be true? So if a message is claiming you want something, or is offering you something too good to be true, it's a red flag. So those jobs, so those messages claiming you got a position at a job that pays a abnormally high amount of money, or something that you or an ad that is telling you that you can win a lot of money playing this game, or a message telling you that you want an iPhone 15 Pro Max. If you just click this link, you can claim the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So doubt those type of messages. So P stands for, is it giving a password you did not request for, or asking you for a password? So in this example, we can see a message that PayPal is giving us a one-time password, and we should call the number given if we come into any trouble. So what is wrong with this message? There's nothing usually wrong if you requested for the code, but it also gave you a number. So it this is unusual because most companies actually don't give you a number to call when they're giving you a password. They so take a look at this. So here I requested a code from Telegram, and if it said that if you did not request this, simply ignore this message. So can you see a number there? No. Okay. Test time. So the mechanics here is you just tell me what letter they are on the STOP guideline. So yeah. So how about the email address? What as what letter is that? So S, right? Because the format or the lettering of the email address is simply too strange for it to be official. The next is the January. What letter is that? So it is the also the letter S because it is suspicious if an email has some wrong spellings. So next is the word immediately. So it is the letter T because it's trying to be urgent. Now, what about the last one? The strange link. What letter is that? It is the letter S because it said that if because I said that if the URL has some wrong spellings and unnecessary letters, it is a suspicious link. And actually, the real URL would look like www.citypayment.com. You can look it up to verify it. So now, how to protect your personal information? Well, so why is it important to protect your personal information? Because something like this could happen. So, first step of protecting your personal information is password management. So, let me ask you, is this a good password? No, right? So, let me ask you again, is this a good password? Yes, this is a good password. Why? Because it is at least because a good password is at least 10 characters long and has a mixture of lowercase and uppercase letters with also some symbols or numbers mixed between the password. But usually a password isn't enough. So you must enable two-factor authentication. So what is two-factor authentication? So two-factor authentication is you basically take something you know, which in this most cases your password, and combine it with something unique that you have, which is could be a security key, a one-time password, authentication app, a fingerprint, or basically something, a question that relates that only you know, like a pet's name. So if you combine these factors together, it can make your personal information more secure. So let me teach you how to enable two-factor authentication in Facebook. But most apps actually go through the same process. So first you go to the settings in your Facebook, then you go to account center, then you click password and security, then you click two-factor authentication, you choose an account to enable two-factor authentication, then you click, then you choose how to how to confirm that it's you. It could be a authentication app, an SMS, or a security key. So I chose a SMS, but you could just pick whatever you like. So you just then you click, you choose a phone number. Then once you choose a phone number, Facebook will immediately give a code to that number. Then you must enter that code to Facebook. Then you're done. You have now enabled two-factor authentication. So next is controlling what information you share online. So first is you must manage your digital footprints. So as Divine said, everything you post, like or share online creates a digital footprint that can last for years. And even posts that was created years ago can sometimes resurface. So, guys, do you know this guy? Yeah, he is the comedian Kevin Hart. And let's have a quick story time. So, did you know Kevin Hart posted a few controversial tweets more than a decade ago, and no one batted an eye during this time. But as people continue to grow more sensitive to these types of things, these types of things, the type of stuff that Kevin Hart tweeted are are actually offensive than they seem. So then his then these tweets got resurfaced, then he got cancelled, and ultimately cost him the opportunity to host the Oscars. So you may just be thinking, sa Amerika raman na, sensitive raman kayo na sila dito. So let's go local. So do you know this girl, Maine Mendoza, right? So she posted a tweet. She posted a controversial tweet also more than a decade ago, and no one batted an eye on this tweet back then because people didn't weren't as sensitive to these types of things, similar to Kevin Hart's situation. And once that tweet got resurfaced, she also got cancelled. So what I'm trying to say here is what you do or say online actually affects your real life. So if you post something bad or do something bad online, it could affect your reputation or even your future career. So next is you should avoid oversharing personal information. So let's watch this video.
Your profile is public. Well, what's wrong with that? I got nothing to hide. Yeah, what about that? So, I'm just sharing a photo of my birthday meal. That's not all you're sharing. You've pretty much gift wrapped your identity for internet fraudsters. First, it's your birthday, so they know when you were born. Secondly, they know your address from that birthday card. And finally, they know your credit card number.
So, what can you observe? So, you can observe that Nicole Watterson is overs- oversharing her personal information like her address, your credit card details, and even the day she was born. So what I'm trying to say is you should avoid oversharing too much sensitive information online, and you should just set your account to private instead of public because there are easily billions of people who are using the internet and not all of them have good intentions. So you should think before you click. So let's watch this. Let's take a look at this survey question. My government has the right to know all personal information about me online if this will keep me safe. So it's basically we have among our respondents we have mixed answers. Some some want the government to the some want the government to know all information about them if that will keep me safe, and some don't. So but it's leaning towards that most of our respondents actually want the government to know all personal information about them if that will keep them safe. So it's basically a conversation between you either want more security or you want more privacy. So first, what is security? So security is about protecting people from harm. So, but in this online context, the harm like preventing protecting people from harm like preventing hacking, scams, and identity theft, or just detecting dangerous activities like terrorism or illegal actions. So now to privacy. So as Kim said, privacy is about your right to control your personal information. So basically the right to control whether you want to share, want people to see these types of information, or you just want to keep them to yourself. So just the types of information like your personal messages, the images or videos you have on your phone, and basically your overall internet activities. So on one hand, on one hand, if we want more security, we're basically letting the government to monitor us even more. But on the other hand, if we give people more privacy, it may make it more difficult to detect cybercrime and illegal actions on the internet. So the so people's preference all just comes down to their technical awareness. But what is technical awareness? So I'm gonna just hand the floor to Yeshua Mantalaba.
So we have all heard of the term technical awareness. But what does it mean to be technically aware? So to be technically aware is to have the cognitive ability to identify, understand, and critically evaluate. Now, it is also very important to know its affordance and limitation of the technology that you are using. Once you master that, you can navigate complex technological environment, leading using them with higher efficiency, leading you to make informed decisions. For example, using TikTok for leisure or short-term video, and then using Facebook for community announcement, or maybe like for example the post announcement from Cagayan's de Oro City official account, which is lets you know if there's a bagyo or there's an event. Next is YouTube, for using it for educational videos, watching some long-term videos. But here's the catch: while we're busy thinking about what app to use, do we know that we can adjust our privacy, and do we know about our privacy? For example, these apps, we can see here that there's some option you can turn off or you can turn on. Do you know about this? I hope so, because for example, TikTok, they collect your data. Facebook, they also collect your data. YouTube, they collect your data. Even the moment where you post, where you pause, what videos you watch, what 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 searches you do. So yeah, take note of that. And also, like for example, this Facebook has a 30-page long privacy policy. So I doubt that you even read those, because me personally, I didn't read any of those. So um here's another slide. I Here's another picture that says about what TikTok collects about us. For example, our account, phone number, username, social media account information, the photos we post, photographs, live stream, audio recordings, video, text, hashtag, even our region, where do we live, our Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi we use, and yeah, it includes our IP address. Mm. Then here's for another slide from TikTok is ah the newer version of TikTok. It's not currently applied to our TikTok, the current version of TikTok, but sooner they'll also be collecting your Face ID, fingerprint, and facial body or voice information, and email and voice email during your activity in TikTok. So these are not hidden. You should have known this. Everyone should know this, that they collect this. But here's the thing though. Many of us doesn't read the policy, so like we don't know that this is happening, that they hold our digital footprint, they have our ID, our number, our name, our exact location. So this drove us to make a survey, which we surveyed 200 senior high grade 11 students from UST. Oh no, legitimate 200 senior high student from USTP. So we see here that I read parts of the privacy policy of social networks and computer software mobile application that I use, which is pretty good because we can see here the majority of the people does read their I know privacy and policy, but I doubt that they really do. So next, so like reading the privacy and policy is only the first part. How about applying that? Do they adjust their privacy? So here we can see that yes, they do, and that is that's a good sign that they do. We can see here that majority of our survey does agree and strongly agree about adjusting their social networks. Okay, so wait a moment. How about these, the ones that are are not agreeing and strongly not agreeing. What are the risks? We can't just ignore them. What are the risks that they will face for not adjusting or even reading their policy video? That just means that they are not technologically aware of the apps they use and the privacy they have. So before I introduce you to the five risks that people who are not technologically aware will face, is I want you to inform. I want us to discuss of like who's the one who's very exposed to this social media, internet, who's very exposed to that. And that is definitely us. We have a research here that Philippines is among top three countries for the highest screen time. Again, we can read here that Filipinos spend nearly 9 hours. Estimately, accurately, it's 8 hours and 52 minutes of screen time. We even beat the global average, that is 6 hours and 43 minutes only. And we rank third behind South Africa and Brazil, whose screen time were all beyond 9 hours. And yeah, we are, and yeah, about social media, we top screen time spent on social media with Philippines again with third, with third with 3 hours and 34 minutes, just behind Africa and Brazil. Okay, so here's another table, and Asia, where we can see here. No, it's not Asia, but it's the top ranking of all the countries who are access. Ranking countries those user access the web through mobile. We can see here that now we are still top two of all the chosen countries, with an average time spent 5 hours and 20 minutes. So far, the highest on the list. Now, we can see here that we also use we also use the most internet. Like we beat the world average. Look at that. Look at the table. PH, the Philippines is rating higher with the stream, video they play, search engine, and yeah, all of these on the table. But there is no, I know, like there is a specific answer why Philippines are more engaged at the internet. First is, yeah, first students searching, the youth using like playing videos, watching videos, playing games, and of course many individual uses the internet to search for their livelihood, or like uh, to search for jobs or create income, because they can easily create income and the internet. So yeah, so now let me introduce you to the five grids. First grid is identity theft and fraud. It's where you, like, yeah, every website you use, apps, they collect Gmail, location, full name, and your birthday. Now, what these criminals do is they take your information, everything, every information that they can see in your account, they take those and they piece it together as a key to your account, making it make a hack, then using your account as hack. Or they would use it to create something, some account, to use your information to create to create another identity, posing as you, and they will create a scam on it. Or maybe they will take your number and now they will text some messages, or like they will try to scam your bank account, or maybe try to scam your Gcash. For here is another example. Another example is picture ng magandang vlogger ginamit ng poser pang scam. So, uh, I think majority knows this issue from Rafi Tulpo, where the guy got scammed by a poser, which is, yeah, posing as a girl in this photo. And yeah, approximately this guy lost around 100,000, I guess. Yeah, from what I remember, he approximately lost 100,000. Okay. So, aside from this guy being a simp, the girl in the photo that the poser used, or the fraud used, is her image is completely ruined because many guys texted her that she is scamming, there's playing with boys, but she didn't do anything. And that's why they file a case to the poster, because that poster uses her image pretending to be her, scamming online males for money. That's a very high risk. Yeah, excluding the guy being a dickhead for letting his dick rule his mind, it is very important for you to not be scammed by these fraud. Make sure that you are talking to a real to the real person in that image. They check their account, check their identification if it's really them. And for the girl to mitigate this kind of scam is, make sure your post, your photo is private. Don't 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 post them on public. Okay, don't post them on public. Make sure to lock your account so they can't access that. And after that, just make sure, ah report it. Those accounts that pretending to be you, report it. Clarify that it's not you. Okay, here we can see another research about Philippines suspected digital fraud rate higher than the global level for fifth consecutive year. So yeah, among surveyed across 18 countries and region between November and December 2024, over 7 in every 10 Filipino reported being targeted by an email, online, phone call, or text messaging fraud scheme in the last month. God dang, Filipinos are always the target of these fraud, with an average of 44,000 currency that they lose, with the lower median with figures are lower than the median of approximately 100,000. Wow, that's why it is very important for you to be technology aware, to mitigate, or to avoid these scams and frauds. Now, next is physical safety. So we have all heard about the new update on Facebook, where they display our location under your profile, your bubble profile. Now, that is very dangerous. Uh, That is very dangerous. So we can see here in our example that their location are exposed when they're turned on their location. So yeah, I suggest you don't turn on those location. Exposing your location would uh risk I would yeah present you to some risk, like robbery, or like another, yeah, fraud, that too. Your stalker, for example, robbery, they will rob your house if they can see that you're you're outside of your house because they can see your real time location, even though yeah, it's only visible to friends or mutuals, but you'll never know. Maybe your mutuals is a thief too. So yeah, be careful. And also, your stalker, he knows your location now. He might be following you by now. So yeah, it is highly recommended to turn that off. It's in the settings. You can turn it off. You can turn your location off. You don't need to always update your location on social media. Okay, next is reputational damage. It's when uh, like a private messages of your friends being leaked on public, or maybe some digital footprint of yours. So yeah, you must be always careful of these because they might be posted. Someone might leak them. So yeah, it is very important for you to be careful with your words on social media. For like example, these you can see here some inappropriate and controversial messages. So yeah, what if these messages are posted public? That would be very very bad, and it can ruin someone's reputation because some might be canceled because of this. Or for another example is this: my your digital footprint. So have you ever heard of Facebook's like they like 1 year anniversary? So I forgot about my picture which I was in dress. I forgot about that was posted in public. I didn't know that still exists. After some 1 year, that was posted again, saying a 1 year anniversary, and I was shocked because what the hell? I forgot to make that photo private because I don't want my classmate to see that or anyone else. They could make that the picture of me to troll me, or maybe if I have a crush, maybe they might get turned off because of my picture there. I don't look great, I look gay. Yeah, this is the reaction of my classmate after seeing that. They're gonna troll me. And yeah, have you ever think about like in pandemic, it was very 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 uso ang kanang argumenting online. Then the next thing you know, what's posted, what's replied to you by your opponent is a family picture of you or a kid version of you. Like no one would be ano like so that would be so pissed off in the middle of argument. Then a floating image of you comes out of nowhere. So yeah, just you to make your account private. Make sure of that. If ikaw gusto nimo like make it for friends only, because once you post it on public, even if they use that, it's still your fault because you posted that on public. You made that available to public. So next is manipulative advertising. So yeah, have you ever thought like, whoa, how did my app know? Especially TikTok. I have searched for like skincare, and the next thing I know, it's skincare. My TikTok is full of skincare. Where's my meme? Where's my the video that I watch that's supposed to entertain me? And like for this, I was searching for Capo. The next thing I know is it's Capo. I was also watching Netflix and I Avatar on Netflix, and yeah, the next thing I know, it is also the next thing I know, it is also showed in my TikTok. So, so no, so, so Yeah, like for this, as I mentioned, like the apps collects your trait, what you like, what you search for, they all collect that and sells that to the third parties. So they will promote their product that aligns with what you want and what you wanna hear, what you wanna watch, and what you wanna buy. So yeah, it is important for you to be aware of that because you might be surprised that these apps are listening to you. And next is data breach. Data breaches. So yeah, let me use the example of Kim. Okay. 2023 PhilHealth data breach affected 42 million individuals, where this exposed a lot of um, data of the patient, like records, billing records, seniors, like senior citizen records of senior citizens, like the death records, everything about everything. So yeah, in this part, we can clearly distinct the technologically aware person and the ones who are not technologically aware. Also, this is unfixable because until now the data that breach and that data is still available online. But you know what you can do, what you could do if you're technologically aware. You will instantly change everything. You will fix your information. You'll double check your data, your email. You change the password. Um, you even like change your one ID card, like BPI, a bank account card. What is used there? Change everything. They will change everything. Instead of mitigating, they switch from defensive, lessening more damage. As in, for if you are not technologically aware, you're not aware that you could lessen the damage. That is very important. That's why being technologically aware is very important. So we have tackled earlier that wow, grabe ang Pilipinas kay is very exposed to social media. We are top 3 among the world whose average screen time is nearly 9 hours. With that 9 hours, the more na mas taas ang atuang time on our screen, the more that our digital footprint is being built, or the more digital footprint we have on the internet. So yeah, technical awareness is about control. Make sure that you are using the technology, not the technology using you. And that is all. Thank you.